Hello from Evolve Law Summit in New York City. I'm Lawrence Coletti.
I'm Lecia Kaslofski.
Sandeep Joshi.
I'm Jules Miller.
And we're on the road with Legal Talk Network. And we're back. We are still at Evolve Law's Summit here in New York City. More particularly, we're at the West Soho location for the Galvanize New York City campus. Is that correct, Jules? Did I get that right?
Spot on. Well done.
Awesome. I didn't almost say it wrong again this time, like I almost did this morning, which would have been bad. It would have been a blunder. We would probably have to bleep it because I'm not sure how we would have cleaned that up in post-production.
It was inappropriate.
Yes, it was. Accidentally. So anyway, I'm here with a panel and, in true Legal Talk Network fashion, some of our best content comes together by accident. And so we were at the end of our last recording and we happened to notice a bunch of people meeting. And there's a lot of special things going on. So let me just cue this up real quick before I hand it over to you, Jules, because obviously she's the brain trust with the whole operation here. But we're at the Evolve Law Summit here, and it's a special event. We've got three types of attendees. Now, it's by invitation only, and you have strategic partners, investors, and innovators all meeting in the same place. And there's a lot of information being exchanged, but there's also these meetings that are put together, aided by app, but people are getting together and they're learning from each other, and they're also potentially getting investors. And that's where I'm going to hand it over to Jules.
Thank you, Lawrence. So what we want to talk about today is the strategic partnerships. And I want to actually start with Sandeep because you actually had no idea what you were getting into before you came. So tell me a little bit more about your experience and how exciting it was.
Yeah, so my goal of coming here was to really understand the startup scene here, to really understand the technologies that are not only on the horizon, but that are also in a phase wherein they're solving specific business problems. We have been in business for a pretty long time, and we're always interested in understanding the changes in legal technology, the new approaches to solving legal business problems. And it was pretty interesting to come here and get a good ringside view of the startup scene. So I think it was pretty interesting.
Great. So exceeded your expectations?
I would say that, we got to see a lot of diverse set of technologies. And as you rightly said, this was the first time I was coming here. So I was really not sure what to expect.
Very cool. And Lecia, as the entrepreneur, you got to meet a bunch of people in a very short period of time. How was that for you? And especially as a busy entrepreneur, was it valuable?
I thought the format of the summit was fantastic. I like this idea of there not just being an organization where you are supposed to be socializing and bumping in. Usually for an entrepreneur, you go to an event and you're supposed to be meeting with, glad handing as many people as possible in between them speaking. So to have a very succinct, which is I thought was great, the panels this morning, both of them, succinct. There's an opportunity to meet other innovators as well or reconnect with people. And then to have a meeting system set up where that work was taken out. Except for having to run around in a large space, I thought it worked out very well.
Great, and let's talk about that meeting system. We were really excited to use a technology product to basically match meetings before you came. So maybe, Sandeep, was it helpful to know who you were going to meet with in advance?
Yes, so that was very, very helpful. In fact, that whole approach of setting up meetings well in advance, that worked out really well for me.
Rather than accidentally bumping into people.
Yes. It was always good to schedule time because you need at least 30 minutes to have a substantial conversation. So that was pretty good.
And Lecia, was it good that you had to end it at 30 minutes? Was there anyone you didn't like talking to there? You were like, thank God we're done and moving on to the next one.
30 minutes is the exact right amount of time. So so it was the right amount of time. And I would say too, from the innovator's point of view, I'm coming here with specific needs, not generally to meet people. My company is at a maturity point where it's not anything goes. I know very clearly what I'm looking for and what the company roadmap is. So I had the opportunity to also not take a meeting if it wasn't the right fit, not because I didn't like him, it just wasn't worth either of our time. So to not only have my meeting scheduled, but to have a say in that as well was really good.
Is there anything you would have changed?
I think one of the things that would be good to have is probably a synopsis of the companies that are attending this, probably based on categories or on certain technology areas, that would probably be helpful.
Well, I think it was in the app, but if it wasn't, we'll do it next time.
Yep.
Well, to echo that, not just the blurb that someone's putting out for themselves, but more categories besides just revenue, post or pre-revenue, but something with like what kind of technologies that you're built.
Right.
Sandeep and Lecia, we brought you into this podcast because we saw that you connected through our app and had what looked like a really great meeting around strategic partnerships. So I wanted to hear a little bit more about what that was like. Lecia, what was it like for you?
Yeah, so I had heard of iManage before I knew them because before we had launched FactBox, FactBox is a fact management software that helps keep track of all the facts in a litigator's case. iManage is one of the leading document management systems. So before we launched, we were very interested in potentially partnering with iManage. And at that time, it was complicated and didn't work out.
Yeah. So from iManage standpoint, as Lecia said, right, FactBox does a fantastic job of managing content from a litigation perspective, managing notes, etc. While iManage is the leader in managing the life cycle of a client matter content, right from the time it comes into being till it becomes ready for governance. Now, we are always on a lookout to build partnerships with all the other vendors in the technology ecosystem, because at the end of the day, what we are trying to do is make lawyers more productive and ensure that their IT solutions implementation is done with a lower cost of ownership. So building this integration with other partners and ensuring that it's a seamless experience for the end user is what we strive for. And
you had tried to connect in the past, but it didn't work out, but you were able to reconnect here. Yep. And would it have happened if you had not come to the Evolve Law Summit?
From my perspective, from FactBox, no. iManage is obviously on our radar, but it was not something that we would have reached out for again. And so I was excited to connect with Sandeep and talk face-to-face.
Yeah, and it always helps to meet someone face-to-face and really understand, what their solution does, what is the context. And it certainly helps to have this face-to-face meeting. And then based on that, I'm sure, I'm looking forward to working with your team to build this integration.
I'm so glad to hear a great connection was made. We look forward to hearing what really happens with it and stay in touch. If people want to reach out to you as a follow-up to this, Lecia, how can they reach you?
Yeah, so for FactBox, the website is getfactbox.com. You can always follow us on Twitter at getfactbox and look forward to hearing from you.
Sandeep, how can they contact you?
Yeah, our website is www.imanage.com. And right on the homepage, we've got a contact form. So please do reach out to us. We'll be happy to immediately get back to you.
And everyone's a member of Evolve Law, so you can always go to www.evolvelawnow.com.
Well, we've reached the end of the road for today's episode, but I want to thank Jules for hosting here today and Sandeep and Lecia for joining us and telling us their story. And I also want to thank our listeners for tuning in. And if you like what you heard today, please rate us on iTunes. We'll see you next time for another episode of On the Road with Legal Talk Network.
If you'd like more information about what you've heard today, please visit LegalTalkNetwork.com. Subscribe via iTunes and RSS. Find us on Twitter and Facebook, or download our free Legal Talk Network app in Google Play and iTunes. The views expressed by the participants of this program are their own and do not represent the views of, nor are they endorsed by, Legal Talk Network, its officers, directors, employees, agents, representatives, shareholders, and subsidiaries. None of the content should be considered legal advice. As always, consult a lawyer.